Hurricanes, not what the Gators wanted to start their season. I don't think really what anybody expected. This was a game that, even though Miami was favored, it was expected to be close. But wanted to start their season. Gotta go shut that off. But nonetheless, the Gators got to now go back to the drawing board and figure out where they go from here. The things that they thought that they had improved on both sides of the ball did not show up against the Miami Hurricanes. And Nick, this looked a lot like it did in 2002 when Florida lost 41-16 to Miami. A lot like that today.
Yeah, a 33-year streak of home opener wins here on that field behind us snapped. The worst season opening loss since 2017 to Michigan out there in Dallas at Jerry World. We didn't have to pay for flights for this one though. This isn't the outcome or an outcome that I thought we would see. I kind of had bought into the strength program. I'd bought into like Florida is kind of quietly confident, quietly cocky. Like they know something that we don't. And you're as the season got closer, it kind of became more out there a little bit. And now I'm wondering what is Florida's mentality? Because if you had all of this confidence in yourself based on all the work you put in in the off season, you got punched in the mouth today and you realized, oh, everyone else also worked hard in the off season. So to me, it's
and added portal players. Got good.
To me, like Florida just wasn't competitive. At no point on Saturday in the season opener against the Miami Hurricanes was Florida competitive or a threat to win that football game.
No.
Actually, not all phases of the ball. Shout out to special teams. The mat did its job. 11 guys every time, 11 different jersey numbers every time. But offensively, defensively, it looked like Florida joined me on paternity leave and just didn't get the memo that we were supposed to come back to work Saturday.
Yeah, this was they got off on the wrong foot here, and look, this is Florida could have lost this game, but competed in a way that made people feel good about the team, that made people feel like the season was not lost, that didn't make them start really questioning this program and the folks that are running it. And now it is at an all-time high. And I think the doubters and the people that really needed to see something from this team and see something from Napier didn't get that today. And again, Florida could have been competitive in this game, but they never really were. They had a glimmer of hope with that Montrell Johnson touchdown run, shades of LaMichael Pirine a little bit on that play, and they just weren't able to capitalize on that momentum. Cam Ward had all day to throw. He just picked the Gators apart, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. And it was funny, Nick, coming into the game, Florida secondary had been touted by their portal upgrades as the strength of their defense in a very improved unit, whereas Miami secondary, even Gary Furman told us it is their weak link. It was the weakest spot on their team. That didn't play out that way on Saturday. Miami's secondary kept Florida's receivers in check. Eugene Wilson really didn't do much. 2 of his 7 receptions came in the fourth quarter from DJ Lagway. And then obviously Cam Ward and Miami's receivers just torched Florida's defense. Now, I will say for Florida's defensive backs, that pass rush did not get home today. So there wasn't much help from that aspect. Ward just had all day to throw. And then obviously on Florida side, the Gators lose Graham Mertz, second game in a row that he's played and been knocked out of. And that's a sight that Florida fans don't want to see. He had not been playing a great game, just 91 yards passing before he left late in the third quarter. His lowest production since he joined the Florida football team. He's now in concussion protocol. Nikki wrote about that at Gators Online and what that means moving forward. But if there is something that Florida fans got to see today that they wanted, that was DJ Lagway behind center for the Gators. And maybe he makes his first career start next Saturday against Sanford.
Yeah, I'm just looking down here at the stats. Lagway finished 3 of 6, had the interception. I think it was a tipped pass. Got to go back and watch it, but tip pass. 31 yards added, 24 yards rushing. It's going to look different if DJ's the quarterback. Listen, I don't know that we've talked about it a ton, but he's had turnover issues in the spring and in the fall, and we kind of said, hey, it's just a freshman going through freshman growing pains, but. It'll be interesting to see. Put a story up, went through and found all of the concussion protocol that's mandated by the NCAA and the steps that Graham has to go through. So check that out on Gators Online. But if you're gonna have to start DJ, this is probably the only week of the season that you want to do it with Stanford coming into town. It's more than Graham. You know, I know everyone wants to see Florida push the ball down the field, but I thought with the questions that I had about Florida's offensive line, specifically the right side, and with Miami's pass rush, and Ruben Bain didn't even play. I think he played like a drive, and Florida struggled to keep a clean pocket.
Yeah. 3 sacks for Graham Mertz.
I thought Florida would go to almost like the Tennessee game last year, where it was Trey Wilson left, Trey Wilson right, Trey Wilson up the middle, just quick passes, almost like the 2018 Dan Mullen game in Starkville when Dan knew what his current offensive line was and what they had gotten on defensive line, and it was just screen slants and getting the ball out quick. I thought if you wanted to see the downfield passing game, it would be in a different week, not this week. But that east to west passing game just did not.
And that's what we saw. That's what they did. They tried to go east to west. They didn't really push the ball vertical down the field. They took some shots, but just man, Nick, this is not good. I feel for the Florida fans. Shout out to them. Many of them wore white, like the administration.
No, a lot of blue.
Standing on the field, it wasn't a whiteout, but there was a lot of people that participated in the request to wear white. Fans showed up. The atmosphere outside of the swamp before the game was electric. How it felt inside the stadium right before kickoff was electric, and then the energy just left the stadium. It's unfortunate that the swamp and the fans have continued to show up these last few seasons, and the football team has not. You know, I give credit to the students. That used to be a big talking point with them, but nonetheless, they need more from their team, Nick.
Yeah, I gave the fans a shout out. The environment was incredible, and I'm known for getting on the students for not showing up on time. Not today. The swamp was electric. This is what is special about college football. And you just didn't have anything. And even when you didn't have anything to cheer about, the guys, the men, women, kids, dogs, whoever was here, you were finding things to stay in the game, trying to make an impact. It came alive when Montrell broke that off, but the defense immediately allows Cam Ward and Miami to go straight down the field.
Yeah.
And getting off the field, just like last year, was another issue.
No doubt. We got a
super chat.
Yeah, we got a super chat. Want to answer this. Basically got asked on a scale of 1 to 100, where are we, Nick and I, as it relates to firing Napier? I don't know if we'll put a scale on it, but I'll tell you what, Nick, I felt like going into this season, despite the hot seat talk, despite his record the first 2 years, because of his buyout, because of the president situation, it would take a lot for a coaching change to happen in year 3. I don't think Florida wants to make a coaching change in year 3, but I will say that after today and this result, this is the first time in my mind that I felt like this is something that could realistically happen this fall. And obviously, Florida's season is far from over. This game could potentially not define their year if they bounce back from this. If Miami, hey, they might run the table in the ACC or at least win their conference. Maybe they become a playoff team, and this loss doesn't look as bad. But right now, it's ugly. It's embarrassing. And this is the first time I felt like throughout this year during the offseason, obviously now that we've got to the fall, that I felt like this could actually happen, because I didn't feel like that before today's game.
Yeah, and I'd said it on our show before too. I didn't know that there was a win total, a black and white number that he needed to get to, because I could spin a situation where Florida's 6-6, but looked good in those 6 losses, and
Or
you
got
saw
some key wins.
and you saw some progression, and you would feel good, better about that 6-6 scenario versus a 7-5 scenario with games like that.
Yeah.
With games that we just saw. If you go to Jacksonville and lose by 20 again, if you go to Texas and get blown out, getting blown out by Miami after the hype and that quiet confidence that I
All
talked
the build
about.
up, yeah, man.
I did put it up. It's in my thoughts. I had Billy Napier's contract and what the buyout is. It's $25.67 million. I know that there's different levels of booster, and the boosters that can stroke checks that affect change have basically said we're tired of hitting the reset button. We're tired of doing this every 3-4 years and starting over. Um, I'll have to check back in with them, but outcomes like that, people get more tired of watching that than they do stroking a new check.
Yeah.
I don't know that with the president situation. I guess you've got the board of trustees would sign off on making a coaching change, but with the president situation, and I mean I've said it before. I don't know that Scott Strickland hires the next football coach, so you'd be talking about an interim president hiring an AD and a coach. Like it's But listen, it's not something I thought we'd be talking about this year, because I thought Florida. I drank some of the Kool Aid. Negative Nick got positive.
That baby.
Yeah.
You got soft.
Having a baby made me soft, but if this is the kind of Florida that we saw, like I especially defensively, I bought in and I said on our show, like Florida's gonna be better defensively. That was the exact same defense we've
No
watched for the
pressure.
last 2 years. No pressure, can't get off the
Secondary,
field.
can't
Tackling was a
cover.
little bit better. It's going to be hard to cover in the secondary if Cam Ward literally
All
looked
day.
like a statue. Was just like
I could have completed some passes.
Cam Ward was casually walking around. He could have gotten a ticket for loitering in the pocket, the way he was walking around and hanging out in the pocket.
And then there was the one play where Cersei had a chance to sack him and missed him, and he throws a touchdown pass. That was just. But to your question, Zaire, thanks for the super chat. The one thing about Florida's losses under Napier, for the most part, there have been some games where Florida wasn't competitive, but at least recently, even dating back to last season, there were some close losses for the Gators. There were games where they were in it in the fourth quarter, even had a lead in the fourth quarter, didn't quit when they could have. There's some things that you could point to. It's like, well, hey, at least they're just not getting blown out. You can't say that today.
Yep.
And again, this is just one game. Florida lost to Utah week one last year, and then they beat Tennessee at home, and everybody was feeling great about the team, and they rattled off some wins, and they were 5-2 going into the bye week. So it can change. You can get some wins in SEC play and show some improvement, but it's not looking good right now. And for the first time, I think that it's a reality here in Gainesville. So we'll keep covering it. Obviously, we'll keep bringing you guys the latest on where this team is at and what's up next for the Gators. Sanford, Saturday. We'll be back. I hope you guys will be as well. Appreciate y'all waiting all off season. It was a long summer. It's unfortunate that this was how we kicked off week one for Florida football. Should be better in week two. The opponent won't be as good, so that's for sure. But we'll have more coverage for you guys at Gators Online and a preview show for next week's game. For Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Albaverdi. We'll see you guys next time.